Comic artist Bill Sienkiewicz is one of the more groundbreaking, cutting-edge comic artists that you'll ever see. He's kind of known for doing things, more expressionism within comic books. He's done it very well at a very high level for a long time. Lately, he's been known for his tirades, and I would say abusive behavior towards comic book fans, specifically when they tend to criticize the way that the comic book industry is going, where there's a lot of mantle swaps, we're doing a lot of race swaps, gender swaps, sexuality swaps, and a lot of people have said we've had enough, and we're tired of this pandering, we're tired of this forced diversity that's been going in. And he's been leveling out a lot of abusive and unfriendly behavior towards fans because he does not agree with them. But it turns out he really does. When it comes to Amazon's Lord of the Rings of Power show, it turns out he's one of us. He has the exact same opinions when it comes to these things. I guess it looks a little different when you're looking at it from a different perspective, and it's your hobby that you love or something you grew up with that you're really attached to, and maybe you're not getting paid for, that you're enjoying as a fan yourself. And then when you see it from that lens and that angle, perhaps you can actually see where the comic book customers are coming from, and perhaps all those hurtful things and those very mean words and a lot of aspersions that were just leveled out across the board on anyone who has dared criticize the current direction of the comic book industry. Obviously, I've done it here. As I mentioned, these criticisms come about from the Lord of the Rings of Power. Specifically, Elfquest creator Wendy Penny recounted details of a recent conversation she had with Sienkiewicz on Facebook about the Rings of Power series. She began by stating, "Today, my friend and colleague, the illustrious Bill Sienkiewicz, paid me a dazzling compliment in a thread devoted to some interesting debate about the upcoming new Lord of the Rings series." Lord of the Rings has been everywhere. Everybody's been criticizing it. I would agree with most of those criticisms. I don't think taking someone's established work, the world that they created, and starting to ham fist and throw new ideas in there because it better represents the world we're living in, because it doesn't really represent what Middle Earth is. Me personally, I'm not going to watch it. I wouldn't even watch the first episode to do a review, to be completely honest. I just don't think there's really a reason, because I kind of agree with most of the criticisms that you see out there. Penny continued when she quoted Sienkiewicz stating, "I understand that so many young women and people of color want to see themselves represented in their entertainment, but I honestly feel that what I would love to see in stories written that do that from the ground up, not retrofitting and reimagining something to suit the current political climate. It's like saying all this pine should really be oak. Fucking pine." Thank you very much, Bill Sienkiewicz. You are finally understanding what we've been saying all along. These things are firmly established. These comic book characters and universes are fully established. Now, the DC and Marvel universes obviously are much different than Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings. We certainly have a lot more characters that are representative of all kinds of different races and creed and color and sexuality and all those things. Most of the criticism that you're going to hear about comic books when it comes to these things is when you're taking established characters with established traits or established mantles, and you're just pushing them on these new characters so that you can, as Bill Sienkiewicz put, suit the current political climate. And that's exactly what the comic book fans, for the most part, have been criticizing. It's nice to have a nice diverse lineup of characters. Not every character should be the same color. Not every character should be the same gender. Not every character should be the same sexuality. Not even every character should be from the same planet. You know, when you were going into the DC and Marvel Comics universes, you get a lot of aliens, you get a lot of demons, you get a lot of different things that make the universe what it is. But when you start forcing these changes over the current political climate, they stand out like a sore thumb. It's like punching fans in the face and telling them they have to take some more. It's nice to see Bill Sienkiewicz finally sees where we're coming from. He did continue. Despite strengths and failings, things are what they are. Make something new. I think of what creators like Wendy Penny did with Elfquest. She created from whole cloth a world, several worlds full of amazing characters that are entirely hers. She didn't rewrite a pre-existing story from some old white guy. She's brilliant, and the showrunners and young writers of every persuasion should follow her lead. Exactly. That is very well put, better put than I probably have said here on the channel. There is room for all of these things. There is a niche in comic books if you want to write about, you know, disabled, black, trans characters. It's very niche. It's not really in DC or Marvel for the most part. Maybe you could create a new character and get them over. I doubt it. just because it's not a whole, like, that's not really a mainstream idea, which is mostly what you get at DC and Marvel. But there's a place for it. It's called humanoid. It's called perhaps vault. It's called small press. And there are places where you can execute these ideas and make your own creations. Can you imagine if Robert Kirkman said, you know what, I don't want to make any of my own ideas. I'll just do zombies from Marvel for the rest of my life. We never would have got The Walking Dead. Go out there and bet on yourself and bet on your ideas in a marketplace where they can hopefully be accepted. But forcing these things into the DC and Marvel universes and forcing it on the customers has led to a ton of rejection. In a lot of cases, people just walking away, not just because of the prices, not just because of the abundance of Batman. A lot of it has to do with you keep fundamentally changing the characters that they love, swapping out the mantles, making wholesale changes to their sexualities and things of that nature that people just don't respond to for the most part. Certainly not comic book readers. And I think that's been proven time and time again. And you're seeing it right here with Sienkiewicz, where you're having these changes forced into a world that they don't belong, and he's rejecting it. He's seeing what we've been saying the whole time. And it's nice to see that Bill has been able to put this out here so eloquently after, pretty much trashing people for having the exact same complaints and leveling some pretty harsh criticisms, some very nasty name calling that wasn't warranted in the first place. And now he sees where we're coming from. Elfquest creator Wendy Penny then detailed her response to Bill. Thank you so much for a high compliment. What's interesting is if, and I emphasize if, Elfquest does make it to film or TV someday in this political climate, it will be assumed that we have dark-skinned elves because we're following the current trend toward representation and inclusivity. But back in the mid-'70s, you'll want to know why I created a tribe of black-skinned elves? For the beauty. Prior to starting my career in the independent comics movement, I had been a semi-professional belly dancer. I saw beauties, male and female, of exotic hue, and my artist's eye reveled at how the radiant colors of their dance costumes glowed against a golden brown skin. Wow. She went and created something whole cloth, and she wasn't motivated by appeasing the political climate. She saw beauty in the real world and decided to incorporate it into her mystical fantasy realm in Elfquest. And guess what? It got over. People accepted it because it felt like a natural progression. It felt like they were supposed to be there from the very beginning because it was her universe and it was her creation. Nobody rejected it. And if you created Elfquest today, they still wouldn't, because the characters are supposed to be there. They feel natural in that environment. That's why a lot of people, they don't respond well to this, because it feels like you can see there's an agenda being pushed, and it doesn't feel like that agenda is entertaining you and I, the paying customer. It feels like it's appeasing a small group of very loud people on the internet. It's the worst kind of pandering that's been going on. And I'm glad to see that Wendy Penny and Sienkiewicz can be proud of the works that they've done on their original creations and how diverse they were, because there's nothing wrong with that. No one's saying we hate black characters. No one's saying we hate gay characters. Nobody's saying you can't ever have a trans character in there. We're saying stop forcing it like this. Make the characters feel like they belong there. And if that's part of who they are, that's a part of who they are. I just had a conversation last week with my good friend Gabe Hernandez, and he was talking about how people experience things and they have to have an emotional connection before you can get to the action. Today's writers go right to the action because that is the point of the story. It's no longer to entertain us or for us to connect with the characters. It is so they can take their action and tell you what they think about things, and that's why it feels so off-putting. And you can see a perfect example is Wendy Penny's Elfquest, where she took the correct route. You establish the world, you build it out, you flesh it out, you place the characters in there, you give people a reason to attach themselves to them. So you want to see this journey, you want to see the interactions, you want to see the conflicts, and then you can do your actions. And then people are ready for it, and they feel like they're within the natural scheme of the storytelling itself. When you skip these these components, or you start stuffing things in, or start changing things to such a degree that the characters are unrecognizable to the people that have invested in them, not just monetarily, but emotionally and with their time, it drives customers away. It's been proven time and time again. Wendy also included another response from Bill Sienkiewicz about this, and he said, Wendy Penny, amen. Your choices in characters and creative decisions all came from a place of integrity and personal sets of beliefs. Your work feels and remains honest and real. That's why lovers of Elfquest have been around for the long haul, which only makes me feel more disappointed that so much of how to is being mandated now feels retroactive and shoehorns and pretzelized to fit a corporate dictate. A cynical cash grab that feels shallow and uses fans' very real hopes and dreams for meaningful entertainment that can change lives, and dashes those hopes and dreams on the wheels of commerce and politics. No one wins there, not the creators, not the fans. It's coldly strip mining and monetizing everything that means anything to people. I fear that's what is happening with so much of what we love these days. And like everything, it's dividing us when, as I remember it, how it was and still should be, it should unite us. Amen, Bill Sienkiewicz. I couldn't have said it better myself. That is exactly what we have been saying for the last 5, 6, 7 years. Now, I hope you can be a little bit less abusive to fans as you now understand where we're coming from, because there's something that we love that is being pretzelized to fit corporate dictates. That's how it feels to be in our shoes. I'm glad that Bill Sienkiewicz put this out there. I'm sure it was not easy for him to kind of to express this. It's not going to be a popular opinion among a lot of his peers, but this is the opinion that has been expressed by a lot of fans. And when you push them, they go a little too far. I understand that. And sometimes the fans have gone a little bit too far, or perhaps even way too far with their criticisms and the way that they've talked about this. But this is the genesis of the problem. This is the original sin about where all of this conflict within comic books started. It's happening in Lord of the Rings. It's happening everywhere now. It all feels so shoehorned in. They feel like cheap cash grabs for a reason, because they are, and they are turning people off left and right. I mentioned some of the abusive behavior from Bill Sienkiewicz himself. If you haven't seen that, or you didn't know about it, I did make this video kind of explaining it all. He ended up getting one of his comments, I know, deleted by Facebook themselves. If you haven't checked it out, check this out, and you can kind of see where a lot of the people that are upset with Bill Sienkiewicz at this point, where it kind of all came from. It was really nasty.